Hi, everybody. Dhaman Mehta here, and thank you for once again joining me on my journey as I go through my favorites list on fanfiction.net. Let's just dive in. I got 7 stories for you with this video. We got starting with A Promise from Her Boy by Psychocellist. Cellist, I think? Maybe I don't know. Okay, but whatever. That's the name of the story. And this is a Harry Potter fic that basically is like one chapter from like each year of the 7 books, um, which is canon compliant, but not like there are changes that happen, and it's all focused on the real best girl of the Potterverse, which is Hedwig. You know, it's stuff that it mixes. It's like it flows enough that like it doesn't derail canon in any sense. Things that could have fit in there, and it's just really sweet and emotional, and highlights why Hedwig truly was the best thing for Harry, and how she took care of him. So this it's really sweet. It stays on my list. Number 2 is another Harry fic. This one, Crack Investigator by Luan Mao. And this is another short fic that takes place after Harry, after the books, where Harry is basically the most feared Auror in the world, all because of Luna, his girlfriend Luna, and it's just a bunch of short bits where she's just constantly getting into trouble and or like basically paving the way for Harry's success in a way. And it's short and entertaining, great for a quick laugh. It's gonna stay on my list. Moving on to something not Harry Potter related, we have Avengers of the Ring by Dr. Manhattan. And this is immediately what you think of. That's what it is. It's Lord of the Rings with 3 Avengers coming along for the ride. This takes place like right after the end of the first Avengers movie, and sucks up Thor while they're transporting Loki, or they're planning to. Thor, Bruce, and Cap get sucked into a portal and end up in Middle Earth, basically around the start of their journey after they've left Rivendell. And then the story then just goes through the rest of the journey, and then it ends with them, end of the books, and then coming back to New York with Iron Man opening a portal to bring them back. There are some bigger changes made here in the later parts of the story, and if you do want just like Lord of the Rings +1 character, or +3 in this case, it works pretty well. At the same time, I didn't see anything that made me super invested or want to come back and reread this ever again. I think it's fine and like enjoyable enough in the moment, and I don't think anybody who reads this will be too disappointed, especially because it is a complete, like I said. But like as I said, my favorites list and stuff like that are always for things that I really want to, not only that I really really love, but things that I would like to reread, or like feel the need to go back. I feel like I wouldn't mind going back to and revisiting, and this is just not that. So it's gonna fall off my list. Number 4 is The Save Button Is Your Friend by Transcendent Oddity. And this is a Naruto gamer fic, where Naruto lives to be over 100, I think, in his one life, and then he dies, and then he finds out his life is a video game, and he starts back up as a kid. I'd say I think because again, like the fic starts at the game over screen, but he references being over 100 in his previous life in his first story in the story. And so what we have here is a super intelligent and competent Naruto who knows how to make basically how to make a cheese build of a character right out the gate. And this should lead to the author focusing purely on humor and me loving the story, because of I have a low bar for comedy, but it's not the case. Because again, through a couple jokes he makes, this Naruto, or some stupid comments, he sets the difficulty to super insane, and so there's meant to be a lot more drama and like hard fights. Like he fights the 3 tail like Mizukage, while he's still like 6 years old. But like there are comedy bits here, and I did chuckle um, a little bit, but it really just felt kind of dull while reading through it. The author seemed to make a lot of similar sets of jokes that like other gamer fics that focus that have more intelligent main characters do, but they never really hit hard for me here. And as such, like, this overall is a comedy fic that didn't make me laugh that much, so it's also incomplete. So I'm gonna just say skip this, and it's gonna fall off my list. Uh, the next one on this list is Memento Mori by Durandal, and this is a Haruhi Suzumiya fic where Kyon faces somebody, like, basically he faces death from a source he never saw coming. And I found the story to be really, really poignant and very, like, brought tears to my eyes rather quickly. It builds it builds a lot of tension really well as you piece together what's happening and see the slow decline of the situation. The story really shows some of Kyon's best, and the ending gives a nice bit of hope to soften the sadness of the rest of the piece. But do be prepared while reading this. I do highly recommend this. Reading this, though, have a box of tissues handy. It's really a nice piece, even though it is rather sad. But yeah, it is going to stay on my list. Um, let's just move on from there with Not Really Magic at All by Feathers of Glass. And this is a Harry Potter crossover with Doctor Who that takes place. So basically, it turns out Harry wasn't really a mage or anything. Instead, he was an alien, and they were all, stuck in a special thing. And then he somehow everybody died, and Harry's the only one left. And then he ends up in the basement of uh, Henry Van Staten, the collector guy from, like, one of the first episodes of the Ninth Doctor's run. And then it's basically just this, like, Harry basically is just an extra person that's there for, like, the next two episodes, and nothing much changes in those two episodes. And that's it. There's no conclusion or anything. Obviously, it would have been more, but the author just stopped writing it. So there's nothing really here. This can be skipped without worry, and it's going to fall off my list. All right, and the last one for this video is A Soul of Fire by Satire Swift. And this is another Shiro, Fate Stay Night Sekirei crossover in the style of In Flight. Except this is not regular Shiro. This is alternate universe Shiro Kotomine, Shiro who was raised by the fake priest Kirei. And instead of getting traditional saber, he has red saber as his servant. This also leads to a bunch of differences in what happened in the previous Grail War that gets mentioned, and so leads to different behavior with Sakura and Rin and stuff like that. And also just, that whole background changes how Shiro acts and what resources he has to call on when he gets into the Sekirei game proper. This has the bonus points because the story is complete and has a lot more variety, again, because of the changes made to his background in comparison to all the other Fate Sekirei fics that I read and that are on my list, because almost all of them are traditional Fate, like, traditional background, where, like, the difference is mainly just what ending he got, not completely this where he has whole different personality and stuff like that. I think the story works really well. It's mostly a slow build until a big action arc that's basically the final quarter of this story. It serves pretty well entertainment, although it focuses more on action than comedy. So I don't like it as much as most of the other ones because again I prefer like especially this stuff to be more comedy focused. Um, and I at least from what I've seen, just like looking back at all the Sekiro fics that I read, like I found the ones that are the ones I enjoy more are the ones that focus more on the comedy. Um, and that's probably the reason why like while I did enjoy this fic, I don't see a need to reread it. Similar to like the Avengers of the Ring, like it's a fic where or like a good action movie. Like I enjoyed it in the moment, but I don't see the need to ever really put it on again because it's not. It didn't have any like awesome moments or like things like that. It's just like oh yeah, that was a good thing. I enjoyed the ride. Yeah, it's fine. Basically, that's my take on this story. I just didn't like. There was no instant love for the main character or anything that like just made me want to come back to this. But I do recommend it for anybody who likes a decent action story in the Sekiro verse and wants a complete Fate Sekiro crossover. But for me, it's gonna fall off my list. And that's it for this video. Status time. I've now read 836 stories, and 397 of them have stayed on my list. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, I leave links to all the stories as well as my fanfiction.net profile and the Sufficient Velocity forum where I also post these things. They're all in the description. So please have a look. Leave a like if you like this stuff. Comment if you think I'm an idiot or my taste is trash. And I will see you in the next video. Take care.